Morning, all. All right, so we got 7 games on in the National Hockey League tonight, and we start off with the hapless Buffalo Sabres in against the New Jersey Devils, who are almost as hapless. So at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, there's 3 games on, and it's out of 7, so relatively easy for this year's schedule. This normally would be considered a really busy day in a normal NHL season. This is not a normal NHL season. So the 6-17-4 Buffalo Sabres in against the 8-13-4 New Jersey Devils. Interestingly enough, Buffalo's won 3 out of 5 between these two teams so far this year. So yeah, it could go either way. I wanted to look at who I consider to be the starting goaltenders. Not every team has one. But with Ullmark out, Hutton's been the starter. He's got a 1-9-1 record with an .884 save percentage. On a team where everything is falling apart, Hutton's save percentage and numbers, and again, I know people are going to say, well, the defense in front of him hasn't been any good. Right. Still. Blackwood, 5-8-1, 900 save percentage. His numbers have come down dramatically from where they were earlier in the season. And so you got goaltenders here that probably wish the defense in front of them was a little bit better. Over their last 10, Buffalo's 0-9-1. They've lost 3 in a row in regulation. For New Jersey, they're 1-7-2 in their last 10, and their most recent was, of course, that loss against the New York Islanders, which was almost a win, but offside. Both teams are 2-10-2 at home. Both teams have won 2 out of 14 games at home. Wow. So 11 straight without a win for Buffalo. Your guess is as good as mine on this one, because, yeah. Also at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the absolute opposite. Washington at home against the Islanders. I'm wearing capitals because, sure. One of them, their winning streak's going to continue. The other one, it won't. Washington's won both meetings. Washington's 18-6-4. The Islanders are 19-6-4. So this is a battle for first. Over their last 10, the Islanders, of course, 9-0-1. They've won 9 in a row. And on the Capitals side, they're 9-1. They've won 5 in a row. So, yeah, it's a pretty good run both teams have been on. Varlamov, obviously the starter, 13-4-3 with a 929 save percentage. I still think Samsonov is the starter for the Caps. I know Vanacek's been playing a ton. I know Vanacek had a shutout in the last game. Samsonov's 5-0-1 with a 902 save percentage. I still think when the dust clears, he's the starter. Also starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Bruins need to stop the bleeding now. They're 14-8-4. The Pittsburgh Penguins are 18-9-1. Boston's won 2 out of 3, but didn't win last night. So Halak's the starter. He's 6-4-2 with a 918 save percentage. And I say that because Rask's been hurt. And I think it's kind of his job now. Tristan Jarry, of course, has turned it around after a slow start. He's 12-7-1 with a 906 save percentage. Good starter. Over their last 10, they are going in opposite directions. Boston's 3-5-2 in their last 10, and they've lost their last 2 in regulation. And yet, anytime I talk about it, people say, they're not in any kind of danger. People are saying that because it's the Bruins. And at some point in time, the Bruins will miss the playoffs. I'm not saying it's going to be this year, but it's going to happen. And it's probably going to be one of those years where people are like, they're not going to miss. And then they do. Pittsburgh's 8-2 over their last 10. They've won 6 in a row. So in a division that we know just how good this division is, Pittsburgh, Washington, the Islanders on big winning streaks. And so we'll see whether or not Boston can turn it around. Because that's 3 teams. And then all you need is one more to get hot. And suddenly Boston finds themselves on the outside. Again, they've only won 3 of their last 10. Then half an hour later, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Detroit does this to be different, don't they? We're going to start a half an hour later because we're Detroit. And they do. And at 8-17-4 Detroit, honestly, it hasn't been as bad as the record looks. Carolina, 20 wins, 6 losses, and 1 overtime or shootout loss. Carolina's won 3 out of 4. Reimer, 12-3 with a 908 save percentage. I think he's the starter. Nedeljkovic absolutely making the argument as well, but 12 wins tell you Reimer's the guy who's the go-to guy. Bernier, 7-6 with a 912 save percentage for Detroit. Considering the defense he's playing behind, that 912 save percentage to me is like having a 925 or 930 on a team with a really good defense. So Bernier's had a good record. Bernier's played well. It's, again, it's like last year. Detroit, Bernier had a good record. Howard's was terrible. This year, Bernier's got a good record. Grace's is terrible. It's bizarre. Over their last 10, Carolina's 8-2. They've won 8 in a row. Detroit, over their last 10, they're 4-5-1, and they lost their last game in regulation to Carolina. So again, 4-5-1 in their last 10. Detroit over their last 10 has had a better record than Boston, New Jersey, Buffalo. Detroit's not playing badly, is what I'm saying. And it's starting to turn things around ever so slightly. Yeah, they're not making the playoffs. We know that, but they're getting better. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. The Arizona Coyotes, who are 12-12-4, in against the 17-8-1 Minnesota Wild. And for Minnesota, they've won 3 out of 4 against Arizona. We'll see how it goes for them today. Starter for Arizona, clearly Darcy Kemper. They miss him when he's out. But he's 7-7-2, so his record's not much better than any other goaltender on the team. He has a .914 save percentage, so Ronta's right there with him. Kakkonen clearly has stolen the starter's job in Minnesota. He's 11-4 with a .922 save percentage. And he's getting some Rookie of the Year consideration at this stage, rightfully so. I mentioned him in my rookie video last week. So, yeah, over their last 10, Arizona's 4-5-1. They've lost their last 2 in regulation. And for Minnesota, they're 7-2-1 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. And Minnesota seems to be getting better and better. So, again, with teams only playing in their division, we are seeing these longer winning streaks because you don't play outside your division. You're playing against teams you know. And as the season goes along, for some teams it gets harder. Buffalo. For some teams it gets easier. Islanders. So, there you go. And Minnesota, of course, things seem to be getting kind of easier for them, which is weird because we're kind of used to Minnesota being one of those mushy middle teams that loses in the first round. It feels different this year, and there's a guy who wears 97 that's a big part of the reason why. At 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, because Dallas likes to be different too, so they start a half an hour later. Dallas 9-9-6 at home against a 19-6-2 Tampa. So, which Tampa Bay team shows up? One that played last night and they're tired, or one that's angry because they lost last night? So, in Dallas's case, with their luck, it's going to be a team that's angry and they're going to get annihilated. Tampa's won both meetings with Dallas this year. We'll see. Obviously, we don't have a way of knowing yet. Vasilevsky's clearly the starter. He's 17-3-1 with a .934 save percentage. And they do need to do something, I think, about their goaltending. Again, I've said this recently, just in case. If something happens, Vasilevsky gets hurt, they're done. So that's an issue. Hudobin is technically the starter. I'm going to say this, though. I think Ottinger's taken his job. And there are some who will still see Hudobin as the one that was in the Stanley Cup final this year. Hudobin's not that far removed from being a goaltender that was a backup, that wasn't seen necessarily as one of the greatest backups. And again, I still think that when Bishop comes back, because of Bishop's contract being virtually untradeable at this point, I think Hudobin would be the one that sees himself on the way out. He's 5-8-1 with a .907 save percentage. So they're not winning as often with him in net as they are with Ottinger. At the very least, Ottinger's losses are basically almost all in extra time. So we'll see what they do. Over their last 10, Tampa's 7-2-1. They did lose their last game, of course, against Nashville. Dallas is 3-5-2, and they've won their last game. And it's funny, they have the same record of their last 10 as Boston, and I hear a lot of the same things, which is, well, they're not going to miss the playoffs. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. No, they'll be fine. They'll turn it around. They're going to make the play. Don't worry, they'll be fine. So they've won 9 out of 24 games, but they'll be fine. And I don't see it. Then at 9 Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, so that's the last game of the night. Be relatively early tonight when the games are done. Anaheim 8-15-6 in against the 16-8-2 Colorado Avalanche. Both teams have won 2 in this season series, so we're halfway done with it. Gibson is the starter for Anaheim, and he is one of many that needs to be better. He's 6-12-5 with an .894 save percentage. So Gibson's numbers this year, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that has to be the worst save percentage he's had in his career. And yes, it does speak to the defense in front of him, absolutely. But compare that to Bernier's .912. And again, it is interesting to see just how good Bernier's number is. Grubauer, 15-7 with a .923 save percentage. He's doing very well. His numbers have got a lot better. We'll see how he does this week. We'll see whether or not that's something he can continue. Over their last 10, 2-5-3 record for Anaheim. They've lost their last 3 in regulation. On the Colorado side, they're 7-2-1 over their last 10, and they've won 3 in a row. So for the Abs, they've got to be feeling pretty good. For the Ducks, it's been basically a, well, we're waiting till next year kind of thing. And yeah, we'll see how they do tonight. Let me know your winners in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.